Today I'm going to talk about these Freet shoes. I've always wanted to try some barefoot shoes, but they always seemed a bit of a gamble and a bit expensive for me. So I went out and did a ton of research on the best shoes I could find. None of them really fitted what I was looking for or what I wanted to spend money on. A lot of the bigger brands seemed like a lot of hype and not really much substance to them. After a little while, I came across this little brand called Freet. The more I found out about them, the more I liked them. The shoes seemed reasonably priced compared to other barefoot shoes, and they had an ethical focus which I liked. A lot of their shoes are made from things like recycled coffee grounds, and that really aligns with the things I'm trying to consider when buying anything nowadays. These shoe uppers are made from recycled plastic bottles, and after speaking to them I know they're really keen to always improve the environmental impact of their shoes. I just got a good feeling about the shoe and the company, and I really liked all the little details. One of the things that I was looking for is a wider shoe, and one that doesn't come in too much at the toes, which allows your toes to spread out a bit more and doesn't squish them, which is much more natural feeling and much nicer feeling for your feet. And loads of other little things that I thought the company were doing well. They just gave me a good feeling about it and made me think that these shoes will actually be pretty good. As a bonus, it's a small UK company which is local, so it's another good thing to support. I reached out to them, asked them a few questions, and I said some of the things that I do and that I'm an instructor, and they kindly offered to give me a bit of a discount on some shoes. Now I do want to say these are my genuine opinions. I said I'd make some content, but I also made it clear that I wanted to try them out properly first, see what they're really like, and I've never used barefoot shoes before, so it might be that I don't even get on with them. You can see from these shoes they're really muddy. I've worn them for about the past month. Pretty much every day doing building work, doing a lot of runs in wet and muddy conditions. So they've been properly tested and they've had a pretty hard life, to be fair, and they're not showing much signs of wear really. When I first got them, they came in eco packaging, and the shoe boxes and contents were eco, which I really liked, no unnecessary plastic. There were a few pairs though, so I reached out and asked if they sent individual pairs in paper or plastic, and they said currently plastic, but the directors have agreed it's a good idea for them to switch, so hopefully that'll be changing really soon. That's another great trait of Freet shoes. They seem to be really receptive to feedback. I was at first a bit worried with the shoes. They looked a little bit flimsy, they could fall apart, but that's probably just because I'm not used to minimalist shoes. They seem so light and have a thin flat sole, which I guess is sort of the point. After wearing them so much in some not ideal conditions, such as walking over loads of rubble, stony tracks and a lot of mud and water, they've held together really well, and I see them lasting a long time, which is essential in a shoe for me. In terms of comfort, these shoes are great. They are nice and wide, which I like. Usually have to size up a little bit for my feet to have a comfortable amount of room for my feet and my toes. And these were just comfy from day one. As soon as I put them on, they felt really good, and they still do every time I go running. Obviously, they've got a thin sole, so when you're going running on the gravel tracks and stuff, you feel all the stones and stuff like that, but it's not too bad, and you just sort of be a bit more careful with your foot placement. And honestly, I haven't really found it an issue at all. So they're really comfy. They hold your heel really well, even though I have my shoes quite loose. I have no heel lift. And yeah, they're just really comfy shoes. Some of the most comfy shoes I've had, which is why I wear them pretty much every day, because they're really comfy shoes. I'm not a big fan of running on the road in them, but I'm not a big fan of running on the road in any shoes, to be honest. And it's to be expected. It's quite a thin sole, and it might just be personal preference for me. In terms of mud, they've handled really muddy conditions really well. I mean, they've got a decent tread in them. But I haven't slipped around any more than I expect any other trainers. So yeah, they've handled the mud really well. Because they have a bit of a stretch to them, they're really easy to slip on and off. If you're lazy like me and you don't like undoing your laces, then they're really easy to slip on and off without damaging the heel, without damaging the shoe at all. They're just really comfy to put on. Obviously some people might want to tighten them up a bit more and things like that, but for me they're just really easy to slip on and slip off without worrying about damaging the shoe. In terms of price, I think all barefoot shoes are still expensive for what they are, but these are cheaper than most, and even though they have a quite simple design, they're really well made, so they're well worth the money. Like all things, the more people buy these types of shoes, the cheaper they can be made and the more people can get them. Overall, they're really great shoes, and I actually don't have any fault with them. I will post an update once I've worn them after 6 months or a year, see how they're holding up, but in all honesty, I would have expected to have at least some bad points after wearing some shoes for this long.